How you guys doing? This is Reno, your average MCOC player. So what do I think about Black Panther's buff? I don't like it. Kabam, kabam, kabam. If they can't get overhauls right, they should just do a moderate buff. I just don't understand why. I mean, I understand they make mistakes, but this just it's not like this is the only champion they did, you know, that was a terrible buff. Let's just look at all the buffs that they were successful. Colossus, Red Magneto, and you can even argue White Magneto was a successful buff. I think White Magneto is underrated, but I think he's pretty decent. So three champions they did an overhaul that was good. And look at all the champions that were terrible buffs. I mean, some of them are not so terrible, but some of them are, kind of terrible, I guess, not to be more fair. Look at Netflix Daredevil, okay, or Daredevil Hell's Kitchen. You call him now. That's number one. That was terrible. Two, Yellow Jacket. That was terrible. Uh, Howard the Duck. That was terrible. Imagine when it comes to Howard the Duck, only Suida was playing Howard the Duck pre-buff. He was soloing many fights. Imagine if he had a moderate buff or even just a tune-up. How many solo fights Suida would have had? How many more? How many more players would be using Howard the Duck if he got a moderate or even just a tune-up instead of a overhaul? That's three, right? Let me just go over. Guys, bear with me. This will be an unedited version, so if I do, like say something that doesn't make sense to you, just bear with me. This will be an unedited version, but let's just go over the buffs that are terrible. Netflix Daredevil, Yellow Jacket, Howard the Duck, Hood. Good thing they're reworking Hood, but it was a mess at the first time. Hood. Who else? God dang it. And Black Panther. Who else? Shoot. Who else? Fuck. Who else? Civil Warrior. There you go. Six. So six champions that was terrible buff. I mean, some of them you can make argument that were decent. I mean, not terrible, but kind of still terrible. But some of them are just really terrible. I mean, like, come on, Kabam. This is supposed to be a buff, not a nerf or not something that you don't even know what the champion is. So, like, what happened to this champion? It looks like a totally different champion, And some people like the old champion the way they were, like Suida does, and like they changed the champion completely. How do you think that person's gonna feel about it? It's just I don't get it. you know like some champions like it just needs moderate buff. They don't need overhauls. I could understand, like, some champions that need overhauls, but some champions like Howard the Duck, I would have preferred a moderate buff. Black Panther, same thing. Moderate buff would have been better because he was a really, really good champion with synergy. Without synergy, yeah, he does kind of suck, but with synergy he was decent. Imagine if he got a moderate buff. you know and I want to say there are players with very high skill, are very high skill champion that are showcasing Black Panther. I think that's misleading, first of all. And I often see play CCP YouTubers who have the content creator program that shows off new champions in the game, and I think it's misleading. It's like these experts or professionals, whatever you want to call them, they know how to use the champion pretty much the best possible you can use it, and they advertise it. And Kabam is smart because they want to show the merchandise, right? The product. They want to like show you this is the best it could be, right? And it's very smart marketing by them. But the thing is, it's like if you gave somebody who's never played the game before, or even just an average MCOC player like me, the champion, it's like, oh, yeah, I can't do that. I mean, it's not as good as I was thinking. Why is that? It's like, you know what I mean? It's misleading. It's kind of like, you're trying to sell a car, right? And you're gonna hire an expert driver or professional driver to drive it, and you're trying to sell it to somebody who's never driven before. What do you think is gonna happen? Do you think that person that never driven before is gonna be able to drive that car the way that professional driver does? Of course not, right? So that's just misleading when you see CCP reviews from a certain champion, because they know they've been playing the game a long time, obviously, and some of them have more skills than others for sure, but I think it's misleading. Same thing applies to Black Panther. You might see this very high skill. Black Panther buff requires a very high skill playing style, and I think his, for them this is a successful buff, and I'm not, I mean, that's their opinion, and I'm okay with that. That's their opinion. But for people who never play this game, or average MCOC player, they're gonna think that a Black Panther's buff sucks, because it's like, you can make a mistake, it's over, because that's pretty much the way Black Panther's buff is. You have to take risk when you play him. If you don't, and plus the way they're showing it, it's not just misleading, because they're very high skilled when they show off the, like Black Panther who's got buff. It's like they pick like certain champions to play against that makes them better than they really are. So basically, with Black Black Panther, if you want to see him like, really really good, you have to be playing perfectly, and you pretty much have perfect RNG. Basically, you need the AI to to play aggressive and pretty much perfect the way you want them to play for you to get the best situation. So I think it's misleading when you see YouTubers show new champions, or even buff champions like Black Panther, show, oh, this champion is really good, but for beginners and average MCC players, they're not gonna play like that. So it's very misleading. And personally, as an average MCOC player, I don't like his buff, because most of the things is because they nerf his synergy with Tigra and Hulkbuster. Imagine if they kept Tigra synergy, how much better he would be, So I think when it comes to Black Panther with synergy pre-buff, he's pretty much as good as he is post-buff with synergy. But I'm assuming you're a very high skill player and you have like an aggressive AI. But without that, if you fight like Realm of Legends, I have a video of that showing fighting Realm of Legends pre-buff and post-buff, and you can see the big difference. It's like, it's really not that good. It's terrible. So I think, just to say that he got a buff, and then for you to play him perfectly and take risk and have like an aggressive AI, so he could do the same damage with synergies free buff, it doesn't make sense, right? That doesn't make sense at all. I mean, yes, I gotta say he is definitely better. I would say much better post buff, because he has more utilities now, and damage wise he's better, but not really that much better. I mean, yeah, he does have utilities that what makes him better, but I'm also disappointed they nerfed his critical bleed. It's now 45% base attack. If you're looking at my attack, why is it only like 25? What is it? 25%? Is it 25, or let's say 30? Oh, like that's about, yeah, it's about 25% of what my attack is. The bleed is because I'm running suicide. So it is 45%, not 25%. If you're going by my base attack, because I am running suicide masteries, but base attack it's 45%. But before that, it was 65% base attack. And what do? They nerfed him. Why would they do that? That could be even worse than nerfing a synergy team, because You're supposed to give him a buff. Why would you nerf him in the first place? I think they were afraid that he might be too OP with his current buff. That's why they had to nerf his critical bleed damage from his base attack. But just looking at the gameplay, I've seen people play him perfectly. With synergies, without synergies, he's terrible. Without synergies, I mean, without synergies, he's not that good. Yeah, without synergies, he's not that good. He's okay, but he's not. He's not like the one. You can't even say he's definitely not one of the best champions in the game. I can tell you, without synergies, pre-buff Black Panther is better with synergies than buff Black Panther without synergy. Much better damage output. So I really don't know why they nerfed his base attack when it comes to critical bleed. I mean, he's doing. You have to play perfectly, and you need an aggressive AI for you to actually have the same amount of damage he did with synergies the way he is now with synergies. That doesn't make any sense because he's supposed to have a buff. His damage is supposed to be stronger, not less, or even the same. It should be stronger. So I just don't get it. I don't know. That's just my opinion. Also, in the future, since we're gonna have more access on the champions in the game, I'm definitely gonna be doing more gameplay as an average MCOC player. What my opinion is when it comes to buff champions and new champions. So this is coming from an average MCOC player's opinion. Of course, you can go check out people with highly skilled gameplay. KT1, there's Bureau Man, there's Legacy. They're very high skilled players. MSD, Karate Mike. These are highly skilled players. If you want to check it out, feel free to check out their channel. But my channel is about seeing how a champion is through an average MCOC player. How would an average MCO player play the game, or play the champion, not a very high skilled champion? So I really think that's my goal for this channel, is just to showcase what an average MCOC player plays like in the game. Thank you.